Hi, my name is Alejandra Treviño, and I will talk about the historical context that it's currently in Venezuela. Well, first of all, it's important to understand that Venezuela, as well as many other Latin American countries, has been deeply influenced by the United States. For example, in the 19th century, the United States had a lot of influence in Venezuela because of petroleum or geopolitical interests, for example, in the Orinoco River. And the presidencies that have been in Venezuela also have responded to the U.S. interests. For example, President Perez Jimenez had an alliance with the U.S. during the Cold War, and also Carlos Andrés Perez had neoliberal policies that benefited the United States. And then came like an answer to this, and this was with Hugo Chavez. He was president from 1999 to 2012, and he was a charismatic leader. He generated a lot of cult of personality, for example, as happened with Stalin, Mao, the Kim family, or we can say today even with Donald Trump. And well, he came from a poor family and he was really tired of the system and he wanted to attack it somehow. And he did this with going to power and then applying authoritarian populism. And this can be defined as a universal form of doing politics characterized by an aggressive and polarizing political discourse that divides society into the people and the oligarchy. And while this initially his presidency led to justice and social inclusion, but with time this started weakening institutions and giving more power to the executive, and eventually this led to anarchy. And he wanted to impose something called socialism of the 21st century. However, it was never approved by the Congress, but this idea remained in the executive. And well, when Chavez died, he led power to Maduro, Nicolas Maduro. He was elected president in 2013, and he basically was an extension of Chavism, but he had not the charisma Hugo had, so he started being even more hated by society. When Maduro died, he left his presidency indirectly to Nicolas Maduro, and he was elected president in 2013, and currently Venezuela is under his presidency.
Hello, my name is Hernan Garza, and I'm going to talk about the political situation in Venezuela. We all know that political situation now it's a little bit tough. That President Maduro situation is not helping the country, and I'm going to talk like the points that make this happen. Uh, the last year, 2016, elections were held in Venezuela. A situation happened that four four of the elections of legislative elections were nulled by the government, and three of them were of the oppositions that is against Maduro, and this was taken like it was like for Maduro to have better control in the Congress because they were going to take the majority in the Congress. Uh, Later, this opposition named the legislative power. They named them congressmen. This made the Supreme Court really angry, and the Supreme Court is conformed by all Maduro people, so it has all his influence. The next day, the Supreme Court threatened the Congress to take the opposition's power, but they never do it. Later, they have a situation. They have a votation about the state oil company of Venezuela. They wanted to do negotiations with private sector. The opposition said no. This made the Supreme Court really angry, so they take all of their power. This was taken like a authoritarian regime. So the next day, people take out the streets and make riots. These riots take more than 100 people's lives. After this, a referendum was held about the constitution. They wanted to rewrite it. These elections won that the constitution was going to be written again, but everyone said this was fake. But Maduro doesn't take this into account, and now the Constituent Assembly is formed, and they are rewriting the constitution right now.
Hello, my name is David, and I'm going to talk about the economical situation of Venezuela. First of all, I want to start with the historical background of why the economics are this way now. The economical problems in Venezuela started in 1980s and 1990s. This was due to the bad economical politics established by a president whose name is Carlos Perez. This president, what did is was to increase the tariff production to consumer goods, and also he decided to give a certain amount of subsidies, but just to the special sectors they wanted to improve the industry of Venezuela. These protection tariffs and the subsidies started to decrease the economy. Afterwards, in 1999, Hugo Chavez became the president. The thing is that this president, Hugo Chavez, was influenced by Fidel Castro. Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro met in 1994, and the way of thinking based on the Marxism and Leninism of Hugo Chavez started because of the influence of Fidel Castro. Now I want to refer why is the economy so going in a outstanding decrease. Venezuela depends mainly on oil. His economy is based on that. In 2013, the prices of oil were like around $100 per barrel. But now in 2016, the prices dropped to outstanding $28 per barrel. This means that the country had an increase of around 75 billion US dollars, and now the utilities that the country had in 2016 were 27 billion dollars. This means one third of the total they acquired in 2013. The next thing I would like to talk about is how the currency has gone through the decrease in this economy policies. In 2015, the $1 was equivalent to 175 bolivares, and in 2016, $1 was equivalent to 875 bolivares. This is just an example to explain how bad is the economy and how worse is getting Venezuela every year. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alberto, and I'm going to talk about social impact in Venezuela. As a background of the social crisis in Venezuela, they have a record in education, health, and social living. The life expectancy was 40 years old by 1940, and now is more than 76 years by the 1990. So it was one of the highest in Latin America. However, after decades of improvement, suddenly Venezuela entered in a crisis, an economic crisis, which led to political impacts and negative social impacts. Now, 66% of Venezuelans are living in low poverty line. According to Sendas, that means Centro de Documentación y Administración de los Trabajadores, more than 70.3% of the population don't have access to the basic food basket. As a result of the inflation in Venezuela, the currency is very low and making the imports very expensive, and they don't have access to the medicine. More than 80% of basic medicines they don't have access, so people are dying right now. Number of sick people are increasing, contracting viruses like Ebola and Zika. Also, the social unrest in the population of Venezuela have reached high levels of protest. Registered in 2013 to 2014, there's an increase in 110% of the total protests. 52% were because of the human rights, and the other 48% was because of the government. Also, violence have increased a lot, making one of the most dangerous countries in Latin America. The murder rate is reaching 92 killings per 100,000 residents, in comparison to Brazil, that is 21 killings per 100,000 residents.
Hi, my name is Diana, and I'm going to talk about the disruption in the international commerce scenario. According to some sources, there will be some recovery in the oil sector prices, but together with the IMF loans and some other tools that Venezuela has to get out of this crisis, the amount of reserves that they could have by 2020 only will cover slightly less than 2 months or three of goods and services imports that would be covered. Also, people can go to the supermarket at different hours of the day and find different goods at different prices. So some solution that people has seen is to cross border to Colombia, and also this has bring some migration crisis. Venezuela was in 2007 one of Latin America's richest countries, and now with this crisis they are nearing its breaking point. International organizations analysis say that Chavez policies are the ones that ruin the economy, and these policies that are based in the wealth generated by oil are only sustainable with high oil prices. International pressure has been seen in this scenario, for example, with the withdrawal of the Organization of American States. This withdrawal will take up to 2 years, but before this, some other members were talking about the suspension of Venezuela's participation in the organization because the relation has not been prospered for years.
A change in the political situation seems far, and a change in the presidency is necessary for a real change in Venezuela.
The economy is going to continue decreasing as the economical politics established by the government of Venezuela are not very good for the current situation.
People are desperate for a change in the government. They are facing very hard times, and world organizations need to take action.
If this economic and political crisis keeps going in Venezuela and Venezuelan relationship with other countries doesn't get any better, the goods and services that population needs for their daily basis consume will still be unavailable, and also Venezuela's oil exports will decrease more, and that will bring more issues.
In conclusion, the current situation Venezuela is facing is really concerning to the international community. It's in its hands to generate information so people can be informed about what's happening and generate a change.